Welcome to the Cozy Storytime, your peaceful space to unwind and relax. Before we start, make sure to subscribe and like the video for more cozy stories every night. So, where are you watching it from? And what are you doing right now? I hope you enjoyed this story. Tonight, I'll take you to a place hidden in starlight and silence. A place where magic sleeps between the stones of an ancient castle, and where mystery visits softly, like the brush of night wind against the window. Breathe deeply. Let the day fall away, like leaves in an autumn breeze. Let your shoulders sink into comfort, and your mind drift gently, like a boat on quiet waters. In this story, there are no loud footsteps, no rushing words, only the hush of candlelight, the shimmer of stars, and the slow rhythm of discovery beating softly like a lullaby in your chest. The world may feel heavy sometimes, but here, in this story, you are safe. You are held. Let the quiet guide you now. Let the spaces between each word open like doorways. What you'll hear is not just a fantasy. It's a lullaby woven from moonlight, stone, and shadow. You are not alone in this night, and you are not the only one who listens when the stars begin to speak. So settle in, find the rhythm of your breath, and prepare to enter a world where dreams walk beside you and mystery waits just beyond the turning of a staircase. The story begins now, and the blackbird is already watching. Close your eyes if you wish, or leave them open to watch the darkness grow soft around the edges. The night has arrived, not with thunder or warning, but with the gentle unfolding of time. We're going to Hogwarts, but not for classes or mischief. This time, we visit when the corridors sleep and the paintings dream. There's no rush here, just a quiet tower, a blackbird, and one sentence whispered under the stars. What if everything you thought was certain began to tremble like candlelight in wind? What if someone you trusted hid a secret deeper than the lake's still surface? You cannot sleep again tonight. The bed is warm, the sheets softened by time, the room dark and quiet save for the gentle breath of your dorm mates rising and falling in unison. But sleep floats far from you, somewhere above the clouds or behind the stars. Your mind refuses to slow, as though some part of the castle has been whispering your name. So you slip from the bed, letting your bare feet meet the stone floor. The air is cool, but not cold. Just enough to remind you that you're awake, that this isn't a dream. Though lately, dreams and wakefulness seem to blur at the edges. You wrap your robe around yourself and take your wand, not for protection, but for company. It hums softly in your hand, like a familiar sigh. The corridors of Hogwarts at night are full of breathless silence, a quiet that drapes itself over every suit of armor and faded tapestry. The paintings are asleep or pretending to be, their brushstroke eyes half-lidded, their mouths murmuring dreams that spill out like forgotten poems. You've taken this path so often now that you barely glance at your steps. Past the turning stair near the divination classroom, through the narrow hallway that smells faintly of ink and old spellbooks, and finally toward the winding staircase that climbs into the sky itself. No prefect patrols this wing tonight, or if one does, they've chosen to turn the other way. Maybe the castle lets you pass. Maybe it too is curious. The Astronomy Tower is the highest point in the school, a needle piercing the night. Its stones are older than stories, weathered by centuries of rain and starlight. The wooden door creaks only slightly as you push it open, and a soft wind kisses your face like a familiar greeting. The sky stretches above you, vast and velvet, scattered with stars that twinkle like secrets. The moon hangs low and full, its silver light pooling across the rooftop floor in shifting puddles of glow. You walk slowly to the edge of the tower, where the iron railing curves like an embrace, and there, just as always, sits the bird. It's there every night you come. A bird, small and entirely black, perched at the highest point of the railing. It does not move, nor sing, nor fly away when you approach. Its feathers drink in the moonlight, matte and endless, as though it's carved from shadow itself. You've never seen it blink, never heard it cry. It simply waits, its eyes like obsidian buttons sewn into the sky. You have tried speaking to it before. Soft hello whispered questions, even a name once, a foolish offering on your part. Are you real? But it never answered. Still it stayed, and over time, the silence between you became something familiar, almost comforting. You began to expect it, to rely on it. Tonight, the bird tilts its head, just slightly, a motion so small you nearly miss it. It faces you, truly faces you, and something in your chest tightens as if the air has changed shape. There is something in its gaze, an understanding perhaps, or a knowledge deeper than time. The wind picks up, brushing your hair into your eyes, and the bird opens its beak, not with any theatrics, but gently, as though the sentence it's about to utter has waited centuries for breath. And then it speaks, a voice that doesn't echo through the air, but settles in your bones like snowfall. Don't trust Callum. The words arrive like frost along your spine. Not a shout, not a warning yelled across a battlefield, but soft, almost sorrowful, the way one might say, I'm sorry, or goodbye. The bird closes its beak again, and nothing follows. No sound, no flutter of wings, no explanation. It simply looks at you, and the silence that follows is somehow heavier than before. A silence that feels like a decision being made in some place beyond your reach. You don't know how long you stand there, the words turning over in your mind like a stone polished smooth by waves. Don't trust Callan, Callan. The name echoes through the hollows of your chest. He is your friend, your closest, your loudest, your most loyal. You think of his crooked smile, the way his glasses slide down his nose when he laughs too hard, how he talks too much in the common room and fills the air with warmth. You think of the crack in his wand, jagged and aching, and the way he cradles it like something sacred, something broken but essential. You think of late-night games of exploding snap, and how he always lets you win. You think of the way he looks at you when he's scared, not of you, but for you. That kind of fear only comes from love. But the bird said it clear, certain, unquestioning. Don't trust him. Why? What could it mean? Was it a trick? Some strange magical accident? A dream within a dream? You glance around the tower, as if expecting some figure to step from the shadows and say, "Got you!" But no one comes. Just the wind, the stars, the slow exhale of night, and the bird, still watching, still waiting, as if daring you to ask it again. You sit down slowly, your legs folding beneath you, eyes still fixed on the bird. Part of you hopes it will speak again. that it will explain itself, give context, clarify. But it doesn't. Perhaps it said all it needed to say. The rest is up to you. You rest your chin on your knees and stare at the horizon, where the sky is starting to blush with the faintest hint of the dawn. Behind you, the castle sleeps, ancient and unknowable. Below, the forbidden forest sighs in its slumber, trees rustling like distant voices in the dreams. And beside you, the bird perches, silent once more. You don't know what to believe, but now something has shifted inside you, delicate and real. A crack, maybe, like Callan's wand, like a star on the verge of collapse. You don't know what it means yet. You don't know what it will become, Ben, but the night has whispered to you, and now you must carry that whisper into the day. And that, you understand, is the beginning of something. The morning comes with a grey hush, as though the castle itself knows not to speak too loudly. You rise from your bed, feeling as though something has been rearranged inside your chest. Quietly, like the way one might move furniture in a room while its owner sleeps. You try to walk as you usually would, brush your teeth, tie your scarf, button your robes, but every movement feels slightly unfamiliar, like wearing someone else's coat. You carry the words with you like a stone tucked inside your pocket. Don't trust Callan. They don't ring out or repeat themselves. They simply exist, humming under your skin, invisible and unyielding. The great hall is warm, filled with the scent of toast, pumpkin juice, and a trace of firewood smoke carried in by owls. At the Ravenclaw table, Callan is already seated, waving enthusiastically the moment he spots you. His face is open, guileless, a smile already half bloomed before you sit. He talks immediately, a flood of thoughts about Charmscus, a prank involving Peeves, and how he dropped his inkwell on a book about cursed furniture. His voice is sunlight, scattered, and impossible to catch fully in your hand. You nod and laugh at the right moments, but your gaze keeps drifting to his hands, to the one resting beside his bowl of porridge, splintered, cracked near the handle, bound tightly with what looks like dragons in you. He doesn't notice your silence. He rarely does. You listen, but your mind wanders. Every word he says swims through the filter of the bird's warning, and you hate it. You hate how easily suspicion poisons the waters of familiarity. Callan mentions Professor Kettleburn's new assignment, and you notice the way his fingers tap against the wood of the table, quick and uneven. He speaks with the same warmth he always has, but now you wonder if there's something underneath it, a hesitation you never paid attention to, a deflection in the way he changes subjects when anything too personal arises. He asks if you're all right, and for a moment you want to tell him everything, about the bird, about the tower, but the words lodge in your throat like a spell misfired. In Transfiguration, you sit beside Liz, as always. She says nothing at first, only gives you a sharp sideways glance that lingers a fraction too long. Liz is the kind of person who sees more than she says, who listens between syllables and collects meaning like rain in a jar. Professor McGonagall is explaining the ethics of animagus registration, but your mind drifts to the curve of the Astronomy Tower railing, to the stillness of the bird. During a pause in class when students shuffle parchment and cough into their sleeves, Liz leans closer to you and murmurs, "You're thinking too loudly." You blink at her. She doesn't smile. "Whatever it is, be careful where you keep it. People notice when your thoughts start leaking. You wonder if she knows. If somehow Liz saw you slip out of bed last night. Or perhaps she's heard the bird too, but her eyes are unreadable, cool as the lake in November. You don't ask. Instead, you walk with her to the library after class, where she disappears behind shelves stacked with books that smell of dust and parchment and time. You sit in the corner, open a book you don't read, and watch the light shift across the stone floor. The silence here is a different kind than in the tower. It presses in, dense and thoughtful, full of pages turning and thoughts unspoken. As evening approaches, Callan finds you again. He's carrying a bundle of quills and 2 sugar quills tucked behind his ear like wildflowers. "Come on," he says, nudging your side with his elbow. "We're going to miss dinner, and I need someone to defend me when Bramble accuses me of stealing his pumpkin tart again." You walk with him through the corridors, and the castle will seem quieter than usual. Maybe it's your thoughts casting long shadows. Maybe it's the way his words no longer land the same way they used to. You nod and smile and try to measure each response against what the bird said. But it's impossible. You know him too well, or you think you do. In the great hall, students buzz like bees. Laughter, footsteps, the clink of spoons on goblets. Bruma is absent, which you notice only because her seat is always the same and always surrounded by half-open notebooks. Callan doesn't seem to care, but you do. You always noticed how Bruma wrote things down, even when no one else did. Especially when no one else did. She would scribble during breakfast, glance toward the high windows, or note the time when certain professors entered the hall. She noticed oddities, and something about her quiet cataloguing had always made you feel seen. Now her absence feels like a space deliberately carved out. You eat little, pushing peas around your plate. Callan launches into a story about flubberworms getting loose in the potions corridor, and it makes several students gag with laughter. You join them, but it feels like your voice comes from somewhere beside you, not inside. You study Callan's expressions, not his words, but his silences. The pause between punchlines, the way his mouth curls in when he's uncertain. You realize you've never really examined him this closely before. Not like a friend, but like a puzzle. It feels wrong. It feels necessary. You hate that the bird has made you do this. Later, back in the common room, the fire crackles and someone plays soft notes on a flute. Callan slumps beside you on the couch, half asleep, muttering about homework he hasn't done, and a dream he had about dueling Professor Flitwick. His head rests against your shoulder, and in that moment, the thought comes sharp and cruel. Could he betray you? Would he ever want to? The question is a thorn that doesn't let go, even as you run your fingers through his hair and hear his breath slow into sleep. That night, you lie awake longer than usual. The stars outside your window seem brighter, almost watchful. You do not rise. You do not return to the tower. You are afraid the bird might speak again. You are more afraid it might not. The next morning, the castle wakes slowly, stretching its staircases and shaking loose the last fragments of dream. You feel thinner somehow, like parchment rubbed too many times with an eraser. Still whole, but faded around the edges. Breakfast comes and goes in a blur of marmalade and drifting owl feathers. You barely taste anything. Callan is seated beside you again, speaking through a mouthful of toast about how his cauldron exploded yesterday in class and how if he ends up bald by next week, You'll have to lend him your hat. You smile politely, but your eyes flick again to the wand he tucks into his robe pocket. The same split wood, the same quiet hum of something broken that refuses to heal. You don't mean to look for Bruma, but the thought of her absence won't leave you. Something about it itches. She was always there, not loud like Callan or sharp like Liz, but a stillness that made things make more sense. You search for her at lunch, glancing through the rows of bobbing heads and flickering candles. Nothing. Not in the library, where she usually camped beneath a tower of books taller than herself. Not in the greenhouse, where herbology students trail mud across the flagstones. You begin to notice her not being there the way one notices the absence of scent after a storm. The quiet is too clean, and when something is too clean, it's often because something was scrubbed away. You finally find Liz outside, sitting beneath the half-dead hawthorn tree near the courtyard arch. She's reading, of course, an old book with pages the color of bone and text that coils like vines. She doesn't look up until your shadow falls across her boots. Bruma's missing, you say, trying to sound casual. Liz lifts one brow, flips a page. Is she? You wait, but she doesn't elaborate. She hasn't been at meals or classes. Liz sighs, like she's been expecting you to ask. She's always vanishing, taking notes on clouds or chasing ghosts through the dungeons. You know how she is, but you don't like the way she says it. Too easily, like she's testing the weight of the lie on her tongue. Like she's trying to convince herself as much as you. Still, you nod. You sit beside her and listen to the rustle of the wind through brittle leaves. There's a smell in the air, cold metal and old parchment. You close your eyes for a moment and feel it. That faint pull again. Like last night. Like every night. The sense that something unseen has shifted. As if the castle is trying to tilt you towards something you haven't yet noticed. Liz turns the page with a sharp flick. If you're so worried, she says finally, why don't you go look through her things? It's not said cruelly, but there's a glint of challenge in her tone. A dare, wrapped in silk. You don't answer, but the idea roots itself in your mind. That evening, just before curfew, you slip away. Ravenclaw Tower is nearly empty. Most students scattered in other rooms or drifting toward the common room fire. Bruma's dormitory is quiet. Her bed is made with exact precision, as though she never truly slept in it. Her books are stacked neatly, her notes bound in thin leather cords. You hesitate before opening her satchel, feeling as though you're breaking a promise you never made. But curiosity, no, something deeper than that, pushes you forward. Inside, there are dozens of folded papers, ink scrawled with her tiny slanted script, and diagrams, maps, patterns of stars, sketches of doorways, and staircases you don't recognize. One paper catches your breath. It's a page torn unevenly at the bottom, written hastily, the ink darker, fresher than the rest. Blackbird, Astronomy Tower, perched at the edge, eyes like glass, watching, whispering. Below it, a single phrase underlined twice. It speaks only when the truth is close. You read it 3 times, your heart clenching tighter with each pass. Bruma saw it, the same bird, the same place, maybe even the same warning. You stare at her words, trying to decode more, but the rest of the page is blank. Torn, missing. A noise behind you makes you turn sharply. Just the creak of floorboards. Nothing more, but your pulse spikes. You gather the pages, return everything as you found it, and leave the room with your thoughts rattling in your skull like loose marbles. Back in your own bed, you try to make sense of it. If Bruma knew about the bird, did she know what it meant? Did she hear the same message? Don't trust Callan. Or was it something else entirely? If it speaks only when the truth is close, what truth had she brushed up against? You don't sleep. Not really. You drift, hover, dream, without diving. The castle feels alive around you, its walls humming faintly, like the echo of a far-off bell. At midnight, your eyes snap open as though someone has whispered your name. You sit upright, hand already reaching for your robe, for your wand. You don't decide to go to the tower. You just go. The way the sea rushes to the shore, inevitable. The corridors are darker tonight. The torches burn lower, casting longer shadows. You walk more slowly, listening for every creak of the stone, every breath that isn't yours. You half expect the black bird to already be waiting as you push open the Astronomy Tower door. But the railing is empty. The sky yawns above you, stars caught in their ancient orbits. The wind is colder than before. You step closer to the edge, expecting the soft rustle of wings. Nothing. The silence is deeper tonight, not comforting, but watchful, like something is choosing not to reveal itself. You sit, you wait. Minutes stretch long and fragile. Then a flutter. There. A shape descending from the higher spires, cutting through moonlight like a blade. The bird lands soundlessly on the railing. You meet its gaze, breath catching. This time, it doesn't tilt its head. It doesn't speak. It just watches, like it's waiting for you to say something first. You whisper, almost against your will. Did you speak to Bruma? No answer. Is she all right? Nothing. The bird blinks once, and then, slowly, opens its beak, not to speak, but to drop something. A torn piece of paper flutters down and lands at your feet. The parchment flutters once before coming to rest near your boot. Its edges curled like leaves kissed by flame. You hesitate. The bird, now still as stone, watches you with eyes that reflect nothing. No stars, no sky, not even your face. You reach down slowly, your fingertips brushing the cold stone before finding the fragile weight of the paper. It is warm. That detail unsettles you, though you do not know why. You unfold it with care, as though it might crumble from the air alone. The ink is smudged in places, blurred by haste or damp, but the words pierce you clean through. He didn't mean to do it, but it's still his fault. The cracks began with the wand. You blink. The wind rustles your robe. The sentence is not addressed to anyone, but it speaks directly to your marrow. The wand, Callan's wand. Your thoughts leap toward him in jagged bursts, scenes of laughter and warmth, of clumsiness and care. Could something so broken have been more than a symbol? Could it have been a cause, a consequence? You think of the one Callan had stumbled through that week in the 3rd year, silent and pale after the duel with the Slytherin prefect. You'd assumed it was fear or shame. You never thought it might have been something deeper, something darker. You look back at the bird, but it only blinks, feathers ruffling once before it hops to the side and perches, facing the eastern spire. Your fingers curl tighter around the paper. Behind you, the door creaks softly. Wind or ghost or guilt, you cannot tell. You consider calling out, asking for explanation, demanding answers. But you already know this bird won't give them. Its purpose isn't to unravel the knots for you. It's only to tug them tighter, until you feel their weight in every step. Still, you slip the note into your pocket, close to your heart, and rise. The stars overhead have shifted slightly, and with them, so have you. Something inside you has clicked into place. Uncertain, yes, but set upon a path. The corridors are emptier than usual as you descend. Not in the way of bedtime stillness, but in the way of something having passed through moments before, clearing the air with intention. Your footsteps echo differently tonight. You feel observed, but not by portraits. The castle feels aware of your movement, complicit, even. As you reach the 4th floor landing, a noise startles you. A shuffle, hurried and soft, like slippered feet trying not to wake the stones. You press into a shadow, heart ticking wildly, until a figure emerges. Liz. She doesn't see you at first. She's clutching a book tight to her chest. Her dark hair messier than usual. Eyes sharp but unfocused, as though haunted by something she hasn't decided whether to name. You step forward gently. Liz. Her name, spoken aloud, is more question than greeting. She freezes. When she turns to face you, her expression folds into something too complex for fear or anger. You shouldn't be up, she says after a pause, but there's no scolding in her tone. Neither should you reply. There is a silence between you, bristling like dry leaves underfoot. Then, as if deciding something mid-thought, Lise gestures for you to follow. You hesitate only a moment before obeying. She leads you not toward the dormitories, but downward, past a stairwell you rarely take, down into a part of the castle where the lanterns burn green and the air smells faintly of chalk and metal. The halls here feel older, less tread upon. There are no portraits, no moving staircases, just stone and time and quiet. Lee stops at a narrow alcove with a bust of an unnamed wizard, whose face has been worn smooth by centuries. She presses the book she's holding against the wall behind it. A click, a breath of air. Then the wall slides open. "What is this?" you whisper. Lise only says, "Bruma's passage." The words chill you. You step through the hidden doorway into a narrow tunnel. The stone is damp, the ceiling low. The sound of dripping water echoes off unseen surfaces. You walk in silence beside Lise, your mind a whirlpool of questions you aren't ready to ask. Finally, she says, "She found it last month. Said it connected places the castle didn't want people to connect. That it wasn't on any map. She thought it might be older than Hogwarts itself." You think of Bruma's maps. The doorways, the notations, the torn page. Of her absence. You feel as though each step you take in this tunnel is one step deeper into her mind. Lise continues, her voice soft but steady. She came down here often, at first to observe, then to escape. The word hangs between you. Escape from what? From whom? You glance at her. And you? Why are you here tonight? She doesn't answer immediately. When she does, her voice is barely audible. Because you saw the bird. And I thought, you might be ready. The tunnel opens suddenly into a round chamber. At its center stands a pedestal with a sphere resting upon it. Glass, or maybe crystal, filled with swirling silver mist. Around the walls, lines have been etched into the stone. Runes, constellations, mirrored phrases. Some you recognize, some make your stomach twist. One is repeated 3 times in different hands. Truth waits behind silence. Lise touches the sphere gently. Bruma called this the echo. She said it showed what things remember, not what people say. It's fragmented, but sometimes it gives you pieces. You don't move. Have you used it? Lisa's hand drops. Once. It showed me a shadow falling over a page I hadn't read yet, and Callan's voice. That name again. Its sound now a crack in every sentence. You swallow. What did he say? Lys looks at you then, her eyes dark as the lake at night. He was crying. He said, I didn't mean to let it through. You step back. The pedestal hums faintly, as though sensing your uncertainty. You think of the wand, of the bird, of Bruma's warning. What did he let through? You ask. Lise only says, that's what Bruma was trying to find out. Before she vanished, the silence wraps around the room thick and soft, but your mind races loud beneath it. Callan, his voice, sobbing. I didn't mean to let it through. Through what? And what was it? You remember the night his wand broke. You were there. A flash of green that shouldn't have existed in a student duel. A silence that followed too fast. The other boy fell, not harmed, but different afterward. Quiet and hollow-eyed. Callan's wand split cleanly down the middle, like something inside it had resisted too hard. You hadn't thought much of it then, just bad luck. But wands are more than wood. They're conductors, mirrors, sometimes cages. If something broke free that night, maybe it wasn't magic at all. You don't remember sitting down, but the stone beneath you is cold enough to wake your skin. The pedestal with the echo remains at the room's center, unmoving and undemanding. But something about it feels aware now, as though it has acknowledged your presence in the same way a lake acknowledges the first stone dropped into its surface. You watch Lise as she walks once around the chamber, running her fingers along the etched phrases on the wall, like they're veins of meaning waiting to bleed some hidden truth. The mist inside the sphere shifts slowly, dimly luminous like moonlight seen through fogged glass. You want to touch it. You don't dare. You rise, finally, and step closer to the echo. It doesn't change at your nearness, but your breath does. You feel it move differently in your chest, thinner, as though the air between you and the sphere has some other texture, some weight. Can it show me Bruma? You ask, your voice barely more than a whisper. Lise shakes her head, not directly. It doesn't respond to questions like a pensive or a spell. It remembers fragments, impressions. You have to offer something in return. That thought unsettles you. What kind of something? She gives a faint, bitter smile. Truth, memory, anything that holds meaning. It has to matter. You hesitate, then reach slowly into your pocket and retrieve the torn note, the one the black bird dropped at your feet. You press it gently against the surface of the sphere. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the mist stirs faster, curling inward as if pulled towards something deep at the center. Images begin to flicker, faint and quick. The Astronomy Tower under moonlight, Bruma's profile etched in silver as she scribbles in a notebook. A whisper you can't hear but feel, like pressure behind your eyes. Then darkness. Then Callan's face, younger, frightened, standing in front of a mirror you've never seen before, whispering to his own reflection, "I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it." The sphere goes still. You pull back, heart tight. Lise watches you with a grave stillness. "It always ends there," she says. "That reflection. We don't know where it was taken. Bruma was close to finding out, I think." You turn toward the wall, reading the runes again, trying to make them arrange themselves into sense. One catches your eye. One that seems newer than the others, carved hastily. It's a name. Bruma. Below it, a date. Just 3 days ago, after she vanished. You don't say anything, but your skin prickles. You and Lys leave the chamber in silence, the tunnel swallowing your footsteps like it prefers them forgotten. The air seems heavier as you climb, the castle colder. By the time you reach the 4th floor corridor again, it feels like returning from somewhere forbidden, like surfacing after swimming too far down. Lys doesn't walk with you all the way to your dormitory. She stops just before the hallway splits. "I don't trust easily," she says, voice low. "But I trust you enough to tell you this. Bruma was onto something ancient. Something that's been asleep in this castle for a long time. And I think Callan..." She stops, her jaw tightening. "I think he woke it. That night, you don't go to bed. You lie in it, listening to the wind creak against the windows, and think of the broken wand. Of the way Callan looks at you sometimes. Like he wants to confess something, but keeps finding himself too afraid of the words. And of the bird. You wait for midnight, but it comes and goes without its fluttering wings, without the tapping claws on stone. You almost feel abandoned by it, like a dream that refused to return. But just before sleep takes you, half real, half shadow, you hear it. Not above, below, a single call, deep beneath the castle floor. The next morning, Callan greets you as usual, bright, slightly breathless, holding 2 mugs of something steaming. "Hot buttered pumpkin," he announces, offering one like a peace treaty. "Thought you might need something sweet." You take it, fingers grazing his. He smiles at you, the same old Calla smile. But you watch him closely now, noticing things you hadn't before. The way his eyes flicker when he thinks you aren't looking. The nervous tapping of his fingers against his cup. You ask, casually, "Do you remember the duel in the 3rd year?" He freezes only for a moment, but it's enough. "Of course," he says, too quickly. "Why?" You shake your head. "Just thinking about how your wand broke." He shrugs, looking away. "Stupid spell. Bad angle. Should have seen it coming." You don't reply. The pumpkin drink is too sweet. You excuse yourself before finishing it and walk out into the corridor. Your thoughts burn hotter than the tea. He lied. Not directly, but you can feel it. And if Bruma's notes were right, if the bird only speaks when truth is close, then perhaps the real message was not about Callan himself, but about the lie he is living. You think of the words on the note. He didn't mean to do it. But it's still his fault, and you begin to wonder quietly, terribly, if what Callan let through never actually left. You spend the next day in a fog, drifting through classes like a ghost, haunting your own routine. The castle seems unusually quiet, as if it too is holding its breath. Callan hums beside you in Transfiguration, drawing stars in the margins of his notes while Professor Oplin drones on about the principles of reciprocal enchantments. His laughter when it comes is too quick, too sharp, like something rehearsed rather than felt. You nod along, you smile, but your mind is elsewhere, in tunnels beneath the school, in a room of runes and echoes, in the glinting sheen of a crystal sphere that remembers more than it should. You think of Bruma's absence like a missing step in a staircase. You can still walk, but something essential is always one pace behind you. Luce doesn't join you at dinner. Neither do you expect her to. She's withdrawn even more since showing you the passage. As if she gave you something important, and now must vanish to let it work. You eat little. Bread, a slice of pear, and stare at the flickering candles above the great hall, noting how their wax never drips, how their flames never burn low. Magic preserves illusion well, you think. Callan chats with a Hufflepuff on his other side, and you watch his profile, the tilt of his jaw, the way his sleeve hides the place where his wand should be. You wonder if the broken wand still rests at the bottom of his trunk, or if he buried it somewhere. You want to ask. You don't. When the sky turns bruised purple with the fall of evening, you slip away. The Astronomy Tower calls to you, as it always does. Its height, its solitude, its echoing silence that offers no answers, but never turns you away. You climb slowly, letting each step anchor you to thought. You expect to see the bird. You don't. Instead, you find a scrap of parchment pinned beneath a pebble on the stone railing. The handwriting is unfamiliar, small, cramped, but undeniably Bruma's. You know her precision from her notes. It reads, "The mirror in the east wing is wrong. It shows things that never happened, or things waiting to." You grip the paper tight. A mirror. The east wing. That's near the old history of magic classrooms. Unused. Mostly sealed off now. You were only there once, during a misplaced detour in second year. You remember a long hallway with cracked tiles and a row of broken suits of armor, their joints rusted and silent. You'd never thought to go back, until now. You pocket the note and descend the tower again. The castle seems to dim with your decision, the torches flickering lower, or perhaps your mind simply casting longer shadows. Either way, you feel watched, not by people, but by walls that remember. It takes time to reach the east wing. Most paths to it are indirect, twisting corridors that seem to change angles mid-turn. You move quietly, your wand held loose at your side, just in case. The hallway is exactly as you remember it. Quiet, abandoned, dust thick as velvet in the corners. You pass a crumpled tapestry, once brilliant, now dulled by neglect. The mirror waits at the end. It's tall, with a heavy brass frame, tarnished green in places. No plaque, no inscription, just you and your reflection. Only, it's not your reflection. Not quite. You step closer, breath hitching. The you in the glass is standing still, yes, but the eyes aren't yours. They're afraid. No, not afraid, hollow, as if something has been taken from within and not returned. Behind the reflected you, the hallway is darker, longer. Something shifts in the glass's distance, a figure. You spin, but the corridor behind you is empty. You face the mirror again. Now the reflection's lips move. You don't hear the words, but you feel them vibrate in your skull, like a voice underwater. He let it in, and now it wears his face. You stumble back, heart hammering. The mirror remains unchanged, silent and still. You look again, more carefully. There's a faint smudge near the corner of the glass, like a fingerprint. But when you reach to wipe it, the surface is ice cold and hums faintly beneath your palm. Something lingers inside, not trapped, waiting, and it knows you now. You step away. The reflection doesn't follow. It stands there, frozen in place, mouth half open as if caught mid-sentence. You don't run, but you leave quickly. Footsteps loud in the hall, like apologies shouted too late. You reach the grand staircase and pause, breath fogging. Something behind you creaks. You turn. Nothing. But you feel it again, that breath on your neck, that shift in pressure. When you reach the common room, Callan is already there, curled in an armchair by the fire. He looks up and smiles, but it fades when he sees your face. "Are you okay?" he asks, standing. His hand twitches toward your arm, but you step back. "Do you remember a mirror in the East Wing?" you ask quietly. His face stills. "Why?" he asks. That one word is enough. You study him. His eyes flick toward the hearth, then back to you. "You've seen it too," you say. "It showed me something." He doesn't deny it, doesn't ask what. He only says, voice soft, "It told me I wasn't the only one." You sit across from him, the fire crackling between you. "Tell me," you say. He stares into the flames. "After the duel, after my wand broke, I kept seeing things. Shadows in the corners of rooms. Words written on my pillow that vanished when I blinked. I thought I was cursed, but then the mirror showed me something else. Something that looked like me, but wasn't." You listen. He continues. "It said it was what I'd become if I didn't stop lying, but I didn't understand what it meant. I still don't. I only know that after I saw it, Bruma started watching me more closely." You whisper, "Because she knew." He looks up sharply. "Knew what?" But you don't answer. Not yet. The words on the note from the tower echo again. "Don't trust Callan." But what if the warning wasn't about him betraying you? What if it was about something within him? Something that entered through the crack in his wand and made a home behind his eyes. Callan stands. "There's something else. I didn't want to tell you. I was afraid." His voice breaks. "I think I've seen Bruma. In the mirror. Last night." Your chest tightens. "What did she do?" He shudders. "She looked right at me and smiled. But her eyes, they were wrong, Khatids." You rise slowly. The fire pops. You both stand in silence as the castle listens. And somewhere in the stone bones of Hogwarts, a bird begins to sing. "Thank you for spending this quiet moment with me, here in the soft hush of story and starlight. The tale has ended, but its warmth lingers, like the last glow of candlelight flickering gently before sleep takes hold. Let your mind drift now, not in thought, but in feeling. The kind of feeling that comes when mystery touches the edge of understanding and leaves behind a quiet calm. Breathe in, breathe out. You are safe here. The blackbird has flown. The tower is still, and somewhere beneath your skin, the magic continues to hum. A lullaby for your soul. If your eyes are still open, let them close slowly now. Let the images fade like dreams at dawn. You've walked through hidden staircases, spoken with stars, and returned with more than answers. You've returned with peace. Let that peace settle across your chest like a soft blanket. Let your heart beat slow, steady, sure. Whatever waits in the world beyond this moment can wait just a little longer. Here, in this breath, there is nothing you must do. Only rest. Only be. Let go of the day, gently. Let go of thoughts, of lists, of worries. They will still be there in the morning, but for now, they are not needed. As you drift further, remember this. Every void holds its own quiet story, and every time you return, this space will be here. A place where magic is gentle, voices are soft, and the world moves just a little slower. You are welcome here, always. You are enough, just as you are, and you are never alone. Sleep now. Let dreams take your hand, like old friends meeting under moonlight. Good night from the Cozy Storytime. May your dreams be kind, and may the stars keep watch. Until next time, sleep well.